Well, good Friday morning. It is Trucking with the Pastor, with Pastor Robbie, coming to you this Friday morning. It is March the 13th, 2026, coming to you here from exit 319 on US 74 here in North Carolina, Richmond County. I'm here where 38 goes south towards Bennettsville this morning on my way to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Been a while since I've been down there. Hit a little fog between Rockingham and Hamlet that had me a little worried there, but this morning exit 319, that's 319 miles back to Tennessee, and if you're making that route today, you better pack your lunch. That's a long way back to Tennessee on this US 74. I'm going to be hitting 38 and going down through Bennettsville and heading down to 501. But Ephesians this morning, as we get started, I don't normally do the live videos here, but going to do one this morning, do things a little different, see if we can solve some of the world's problems from the office of our tractor and trailer this morning here. We left about 2:12 this morning, and Ephesians chapter 4, we're going to begin reading verse 11. And he, that is Christ, gave gifts, gave some as apostles, he gave some as prophets, he gave some as evangelists, he gave some as pastors and teachers, for the equipping of the saints, for the work of the service, to the building up of the body of Christ, until we all attain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a mature man, to the measure of the stature which belongs to the fullness of Christ. As a result, we are no longer to be children, tossed here and there by waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men, by craftiness, it says, and deceitfulness and scheming. Imagine that this morning. But speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up into all aspects unto him who is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body being fitted and held together, thank God for that, by what every joint supplieth, according to the proper working of each individual part, causes the growth of the body for the building up of itself in love. And may the Lord add the blessing to the reading of his holy word this morning. And I'm going to try to put this camera in the window, and we'll get after it this morning. Let's see if I can rotate. Does this thing have a rotator? I think it does. There we go. So we're rotating the camera. We're going to put her in the windshield here and see if we can make some miles this morning. Like I said, it's been a good travel morning. God's give us good rest. And that's something we have not had this week. So we appreciate the Lord for giving us good rest this morning and getting us off on our way on a good footing this morning. We praise the Lord for another day. And Friday's my best day, but this day's a little more special because I feel good. Had a few rough days this week as far as rest goes, so we thank God for the good rest he gave us last evening. And he's pointed us in the right direction this morning as we are heading south. We hope to do a few videos today at the beach before we head back. And it's been a long time. I haven't seen the ocean since back in August when Janet and I was at Virginia Beach for our summer vacation. As we're heading south here, it has been 6 years now. It is hard to believe. Since our journey down here in Bennettsville began, pastoring Sanctuary Baptist Church as their first pastor. It is hard to believe January that just passed. We are on March 13th. January was the 6th anniversary of when we began the process of coming down here to Bennettsville, and Janet and I traveled this road again and again and again. And then a lot has happened since then, but what got us to that point for sure, the call to the ministry and how God calls some and gives some, the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, the teachers. God gives gifts to men, and He calls us into His labor and into His work. And that's how it began for us way back on October the 21st of 2013. But by the time we found ourselves down here in Bennettsville, that would have been going into our 7th year since the call to the ministry. And so we have done pastored a church in 2017 through 2019. We had been voted out of the church in February of 2019. And February or 2019 was an unusual year in the ministry for us, but God began to, when we got voted out of the church in Randleman, you know, Janet and I had conversations that, you know, we may not never be in ministry again. This may be the end of it. And if it was, we were okay with that. But that's not the plan God had. In fact, He began to open doors to preach the gospel again. And through the year 2019, before we would find ourselves down here the next January, God began opening doors, and He opened the door sometime in the late spring there in the Albemarle area, and we were preaching at New Vine Baptist Church to a wonderful group of people. They were the kindest, sweetest people, but it was an hour and 5 minutes from our house. Traveling down 109 every Sunday morning to get there. And that's a dangerous road. Most anybody that lives where we live knows that is a road that you don't want to travel every day, but the Lord had us traveling that route there for several months, and it got in August, I think it was in the first part of August, we had got to the point where they got a new location, and they got us a place inside the church building that they rented that we could make our own room and hang out through the day on that Sunday so we could preach Sunday night. And you know, more or less we loaded up our vehicle and we headed to Albemarle with the full intentions of becoming their pastor, and we've been preaching there for quite a few months. Excellent group of people. But when we loaded up my van and took that load to Albemarle, got it all set up in the church, the Lord said no. After we got all that set up, the Lord said no. We loaded everything back up the same day, I think. And we called them on Monday and told them. And God said no. As we come into South Carolina, now that would have been in August of 2019. I think Mission Baptist Church got started that same year, Sanctuary that same year, and Mission got started in September. They've been meeting Wednesday nights through that year already, but they got their first service was in September, I believe, and we were a part of that, but we had to go preach somewhere that same day as well. Anyway, that's September, and we're still, the Lord's opening doors. And then January, just a few months away, we didn't know we'd be heading to Bennettsville, South Carolina. And for the first service we had down here, I think it's around January 24th, it was the day Kobe Bryant and his daughter died in that helicopter crash, that horrific event there. Others perished in that as well, but that was the first Sunday we were down here. And the reason I Janet and I were standing in line at the pilot truck stop to get a shower for the evening service there in the sanctuary. It was about 15 minutes down the road from the church. We went to the pilot truck stop to take a shower for the evening service. And someone told us about what had happened to Kobe Bryant and his daughter while we were standing in line. So that was the first service we were down here. And as they say, the rest is history. God would use us here for 2.5 years. We tried to secure a job. But we're coming up on the 4th anniversary of April 21st when the Lord led us to resign the church. I let Pastor Steve know on April 21st, and it became final on May the 1st. But this was a good period in our life coming back and forth to Bennettsville, South Carolina. We had some of the best of times. This was a wonderful church group down here. Our heart will always be down here in the city of Bennettsville. And, it wasn't in God's plans for us to be here long term, just short term. And that's a hard pill to swallow some days, as they say, because looking back, like I said, 6 years is hard to fathom. 4 years since we resigned the church. That anniversary, May the 1st, our last service down here. We miss these folks. We made some lifetime friends while we were down here. We reached the peak of our ministry while we were down here, and we're in Wrightsville right now. And September the 13th of 2020, I would say, was the peak of our ministry as we were approaching our 7th anniversary of the ministry, as we were voted in as our first pastor down here. Not saying everything's been downhill since then, but we definitely haven't reached that success in ministry since that particular day. But everything's about growth, and we're trying to see ourselves successful in this day. We're living in other areas of our life, and we're getting there. We fell short this week in many areas of life, but for one, in our job, in our career, we fell short in one area. Made a mistake to start the week on Monday in our job, and kind of mistake if you're working for a particular employer, it could have cost you your job. And I'm praying that it doesn't even right now, but we make mistakes because we're human beings, but we were on the right path during our season of being down here. These are some of the best times of our life, other than being away from our family. That was one move, and we were trading being with our family with following the will of the Lord, as many do when they go into the mission field, and that's what we looked at it as. And the time we were here, it was like we were in the mission field. Our life was 7 days a week. Never seen our family. We worked, we come to Bennettsville. And, life was 24/7, it seemed, during those 2.5 years. And we invested in the kingdom of God during that time, and we reaped the rewards of that. Even to this day, God is still faithful. It was a great season in our life. And we thank the Lord and appreciate the Lord for the good time we had down here. And we value these people that were down here, as we do all the churches that we've served. Now serving in our 4th church today, as we are in March 13, 2026, as we approach being 13 years in the ministry this coming October. 8 of those years, for the most part, have been in pastoral ministry. Some people would look and present situation we're in at Archdale Baptist Full Gospel Church is not quite being successful at this point, but that's okay. We're right where God wants us to be. That's where we see ourselves today, here on Friday. Appreciate the Lord giving us this run to Myrtle Beach this morning. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And got a special place here in our heart for this place. But I want to talk about the weather this morning for a little bit here before I get back into that conversation. 2 days ago, okay, this was Wednesday, it was 90 degrees in Roxboro, North Carolina. It was 86 at home. And right there's where you turn to go to Stanton's Barbecue, where we love that place. 90 degrees in Roxboro, North Carolina the day before yesterday. 86 at home. Yesterday morning started out at 71 degrees. This morning 30 degrees. Ice on our windows of our car as we encounter some more fog here. 90 degrees in Roxboro. Wednesday, snowing yesterday in Roxboro. That's just north of Durham, just a couple counties from where we live. Yesterday it was, I was in Raleigh, Franklinton, and this fog is getting thick. I was in the Raleigh area. It was 69 degrees when I looked at the PTI report, and then it was 47 degrees. The temperature dropped 22 degrees when that front moved through. It was 41 by the time I got back home. It almost snowed at home yesterday. That's how close the snow was to us. One of our drivers went to Radford, Virginia, and he encountered heavy snow conditions that was causing wrecks on top of Fancy Gap and up that way. So if that gives you any idea, but it started at 71 degrees. I had to keep a check on temperatures in the thermometer in my window. 71 degrees yesterday morning. Just for 4 hours later to have wrecks and heavy snow on top of Fancy Gap. So intense. Cold front came through yesterday. 30 degrees this morning. It's supposed to be in the low 50s. Let's see, 58 degrees today, I think. So it's rebounding well. It was 51 yesterday afternoon. After dropping from 71 to 40 and then back to 51 when I got home. But just incredible weather fluctuations in this March time of the year. Moving into the severe weather season of the year as well. We need to keep our eyes on that. Not my favorite time of the year as far as that goes. I don't like severe weather. It concerns me very much. So I'm a weather geek. So many of you may have hobbies. NASCAR racing and weather is my thing, and listening to music. So that's where I fall. But this morning, as we're heading into the Bennettsville area here shortly, anyway, I want to make mention of this as well. At Moose Tracks this morning in Archdale, gas was $3.41. As I got into Rockingham just a minute ago, $3.62. Okay, $3.62. Those are numbers that we haven't seen since Joe Biden was president. And so, you know, with the conflict right now going on in Iran, and I'm going to have to slow way down here. This is going to have to go away. Iran, Israel, and U.S. Having this conflict that is going right now. Gas soared to $100 a barrel yesterday. Oh my, I don't like fog like that. But as we're coming into Bennettsville, ahead of us here, you see the lights, if you can, off in the distance. And that is the town of Bennettsville. We'll be working our way through there. This video will end on the other side of Bennettsville when we get down on the north side of 38. But to look back on our time spent here in this town, we love this town and its people. God give us a heart for these people while we were here, not just those at Sanctuary Baptist Church, but this community. we loved living here on the weekend. And that's all it was. We could only be here on Saturday. I mean, I worked back then till 12 or 1 o'clock on Friday night. And, you know, we couldn't do nothing else with it. There's 319 on that side, so the gas taxes are way lower here in the state of South Carolina versus North Carolina. But, you know, 341 at Moose Track this morning, 319 right there at the first gas station coming into Bennettsville. We would turn left right here at this circle and go to the house we lived in. That the church was so gracious and kind to purchase for us in our time living here. And, you know, these people were better than family to us, treating us. When we got voted into the church, there were two people that didn't vote for us. And other than that, we were 100% voted in, and there'll always be those that not are against you, but just are not fully for you. So, you know, we understand that. We've seen that at other churches. We were voted in or voted out, or whatever. You know, we never talked sideways of that situation. But, you know, God is still good, and God was faithful in our time here. In our travel back and forth, we had one time when something was going on with our car overheating possibly, and we pulled into the Waffle House there in Rockingham, and the Lord got us home. And we had one other scary time when we left the Comfort Inn in the beginning there, traveling out of Laurinburg down to Bennettsville, and had Emma with us. She was staying with us that weekend. I don't know what the situation was, but she was a little bitty baby, and we had taken her with us on that trip to South Carolina and stayed in the Comfort Inn. And something was going on with the Cadillac that morning when we left the hotel. Those are the only two things, but nothing ever happened. Beach traffic and through trucks here. So, you know, we have no regrets of our time here spent in Bennettsville. Those are some of the best times in our life, other than not being with our family. And, you know, it wasn't in God's plan long term, but it was a short-term solution for these folks and for our family. One thing I'll say about that this morning, we are not people who would have traded our family for the ministry, and that is the requirement that was being asked of us down here, not by the people, but by God and the call on our life. We had to trade giving up our family because they couldn't move here with us, and this church couldn't be there where we were. If this church was where we were, we would still be there at Sanctuary Baptist Church. God gave us dreams while we were down here. And, you know, those dreams, as far as I know, will never be fulfilled. Now, I don't know what God's going to do tomorrow. Look over here, $3.39 at this gas station, $5.09 for diesel. That I've not seen anything with a 5 in front of it. That is incredible to see anywhere. Dollar General right over here, we would frequent that often. And we are 86 miles from Myrtle Beach right there on the sign. But we would have never traded our family and moved anywhere, but we attempted to get a job down there. We were not going to give up our house, but we just were following the Lord. And there's Marty Ride home sales this morning. A little early, so nobody's there on shore as the houses are all lit up. Those were our church family there. And people that work there on site, even to this day. But as we're working our way around Bennettsville here, this is a place that will always have that place in our heart. And it'll be that unfulfilled part of our life unless God does something miraculous in the future. God give us dreams. One dream in particular I'll share with you this morning. In our time when we were here those 2.5 years, I had a dream were outside in the outside corner of the church. We wasn't in the interior, but this was a new church building. And the phone was ringing in the back of the church, and I went, picked up the phone, and said Sanctuary Baptist Church. And, you know, that, as far as I know, unless God does something miraculous, as I'm coming into the Bennettsville city limits, you know, that dream will be unfulfilled in our lives. But nobody knows what God is going to do tomorrow or next week or next year or 10 years from now. But as we're going by the Pepsi place here in Bennettsville, nobody knows what God will do tomorrow or what tomorrow holds. But, you know, there'll always be that place for this place. 309 at Valero there. We are on the Edward Cottingham Boulevard by the park. And there's a truck driver all hooked up, got his truck ready. I don't know why he ain't got after it yet at 427, but we'll be turning left right here. It's 319 there at the Sunoco. And there's another truck parked there at the Sunoco. Those drivers may be done for the week. KFC. We'll turn right here to go to Darlington to the racetrack. The beach traffic goes to the left here towards Dillon, towards Marion. But it's just an awesome season in our life. I'm gonna check this phone here. Let's see. And you know, no regrets. And I hope these people down here feel the same way. You don't never know how people feel, and you know, we invested everything we had to give at the time in this place, and you know, that's all I can say. And you know, 19 miles to Laurinburg on that side. We'll keep going up this road. That's where we lived at the time, about 4 miles north of our present location. We're going to take this short little jog to the right here in just a second, behind McDonald's. But God truly, in our time here, though it was short, 2.5 years, is a short period of time in all reality, seeing how this is 6 years since we began down here, 4 years since we've been here. You know, so 2.5 years is short, but at the same time, in some people's lives, 2.5 years has been an eternity for them. So it's all about perspective and how someone looks at a situation. We look at this time in Bennettsville, South Carolina as our most successful time in ministry. And I miss this place even to this day. 315 there at the BP. I miss our friends we made down here. I miss our church family. And I miss pastoring this church down here. And it'll never be the same, you know, in ministry. Since that day, April 21st, 4 years ago, and the last day we served here, May the 1st, it'll never be the same. Our lives won't. And, you know, so, with that being said, we just move on. 83 miles to Myrtle Beach, 36 miles to Marion. We're on the sanctuary side here of 15401 now, and we're 8 miles out here to the church. Flat as a pancake, this part of our country. I've done other videos down here, and I'll probably do a video today in the daytime as I come back through this area. But because it's special people loved on us like nobody ever has in ministry. And it felt like family to me and to Janet. And these people were gold to us, and I mean that with everything in me this morning. You just can't get treated better than we were shown here in this place. That's probably why it's still got that special place in our heart and our life, and always will be. Always miss it. Like I said, unless the Lord does a miracle and fulfills those dreams He give us. He's been giving us dreams in the last year or so of the full Archdale Baptist Gospel Church. So we've got a long way to go in that respect as well, but at the same time, God can do more in one day and 5 minutes than you and I can do in a lifetime. So do it, Lord. Bring it to pass. And Lord, help us just to follow your will. Water tower there on our left. It was a familiar sight every Sunday morning as we would leave the house and head to church. We had about a 15-minute run down here to the church, I think, every morning from our house. And our favorite spot to eat at was 20 minutes east of the church at Schuler's Barbecue. And by the grace of God, I'll be eating there about 11:30 this morning, and I've only been able to do that one time since I changed jobs and went to carpenter. But we are fulfilled in other ways this morning that we may not. I'm gonna walk around this softly, but we may not be fulfilled this morning in ministry, realistically looking at it. Obviously, we're not exactly in a place of success this morning in ministry presently. We want to see ourselves there again. Beautiful moon over to the left, but we're not there. And that's disheartening to even say, and discouraging. But it's okay, because you have to accept the things, like the serenity prayer says, you have to accept the things you cannot change, and all those kind of things, and control the things you can control in this life. And so the success in the ministry is just out of our control. We could have been successful in ministry. Many times there we had opportunities, at least 3, and we could have been successful in all 3 of those ministries. We would have bent if we would have been molded and shaped into an image that the world wants to make of us and individuals. But that's not who we are as a people. Janet's not that way. I'm not that way. We're people that work hard, love our family, love our country, love our God. As we go by Christian fellowship, God calls people like that into ministry, and it's not always going to look successful from the outside, but you don't see what God's doing on the inside of people. And so we're working on those other things in our family to be successful this morning. We got a long way to go there, but we're on the track. I can attest this morning, and I can confidently, with assurance, say this morning, Janet and I are on the path to success in our marriage and in our family, and that's all that matters this morning. If we're never considered successful ever in the 13 years we've been in ministry, or ever again from this point forward, or we're never seen as successful in our careers or in our jobs or those things, if none of those things ever happen again, if we're successful in our home, in our family, outwardly, to the world, we're okay. God has been good to us. He has given given us more than we could ever imagine. And we are blessed beyond measure this morning. And, we have a job that we love. The people there are good to us. And we see ourselves today as successful. We got a challenging job as far as the schedule and all goes. But we love what we are doing. I wouldn't want to be doing nothing else this morning. Sure, I would love to be in full-time ministry this morning. I'd be a liar if I didn't say that. And I would love to be holding somebody's hand, praying with them this morning before they go in surgery at High Point Regional Hospital or Thomasville Hospital or Wake Forest Baptist Hospital or visiting someone in a nursing home or just praying with people that are sorrowing through this life or believing for somebody's healing or walking this thing out in the full-time capacity. We would love to be doing that this morning, but that's not what God has called us to do. God has given us and put us in a place where we have to work hard to make it in this life, and that's okay. It's not easy this morning to make a living, but God has us in a place where we're making a living and we're eking out a living for our family, and God has been so abundantly faithful to us in that since we've begun at Carpenter. We lost a lot of income going in from our old job to our new, but that's okay. God has been making it work, and here we're coming to the Blenheim light. You might not be able to see the church over there. We're in Blenheim right here. This is our light where the church is coming up, and this was our home 20 during those 2.5 years. This intersection right here, 381, Parker's Pit Stop on the right, Sanctuary Baptist Church on the left. There's the Blenheim Volunteer Fire Department. The gas is 309, and there's that beautiful place right there in the shadowy, foggy morning light. But that place will always have a place in our heart, in our life, and we love that place, and we love those people. And I would love to be down there preaching this Sunday morning. I mean that with everything in me. I'd love to preach at Archdale Baptist Full Gospel Church and head out at 9:45 and head down here to Blenheim and preach, and then go home. And I would find a place of fulfillment in that. I'd be worn out. And I only know if it would work because of the scheduling and the time they have service. But I would love to do that this Sunday and every Sunday for the rest of this year. But that's not what God's called us to do. But if He ever calls us to do it, if my honey signs off, He agrees to it, we'll go do it. But that beautiful moon, I don't know if you can see it this morning. It is large. As we're leaving Blenheim, going over the bridge here, getting a little closer to Myrtle Beach this morning, our destination. Speed limit's jumping back up to 60. And we just thank God for thank God today, to this day, I will thank, there was some deer on the side of the road. I'm glad they stayed there. I thank God today for those men and women that sowed in the Uwharrie Baptist Church. And, you know, I thank God for how Pastor Doug Bird sowed into my life. And I thank God for him often. And Miss Linda Bird and Jenny and John Lucas and Jack Bowles and Margaret Bowles and all these people, Ricky Brown, and all these people that we're still connected to. Some have passed on, most have. Pastor Doug, posthumously we bless the Lord in His name this morning. And thank God that He lived at the time that He was in the ministry and how He gave His whole life to ministry. He and Miss Linda, the Uwharrie Baptist Church and other churches, and just how God used these people in our lives to get us to where we are today. You know, it started in a Sunday school class. You know. We thank God for those people that went before us, showed the way. We wouldn't know where we're going if they didn't light the path before us. And there's still people out there today that are doing that for others, and we thank God for them today. No traffic out here this morning on 38 East, obviously. I see another layer of clouds and fog in front of us. In that patchy, intense fog from place to place this morning, and when you encounter it, it is dangerous, folks. But that is one layer of fog. It is unique to see. I hope it's coming out on the video like it is in front of me right here. It's not all the way to the ground there, so thank God for that. Just above our heads here, there's Parker's car sales there going by. We'll be stopping this video here down here shortly when I get to probably the pilot truck stop. We may stop and end that video at that point. So if I do, I'm taking you from Hamlet, North Carolina this morning, exit 319 on US 74, headed in an easterly direction towards Warrenburg. That was the 38 junction with US 74, and I'll be taking you to I-95 this morning and East 38, where that joins up here in the town of Latta. You're very close to Latta at that point. And it's a great morning to be alive this morning. There's a lot of trouble in the world today. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of anxiety in people's lives. We have our own sorrows and pains and suffering that's ongoing in our family presently. But God's given us a job to do today, and you know, we put our big boy pants on this week a couple of days to get through some challenges we've had. You know, I've shared already, it fell short in my job and career on Monday to get started in the week, and that was just discouraging there, but you know, we're going to do better today, and you know, every day we try to do better, we try to learn something, even at our advanced stage. And you know, there's some older folks who will be laughing when I say that. As I come into the Bristow community, beautiful mood this morning. Thank God for another day. Thank God it's Friday. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah this morning. My favorite day of the week. Saturday comes after it. By the grace and mercy of God, we'll find ourselves at the YMCA in the morning to begin the day. Chick-fil-A thereafter, and then we'll pick up a Mario's Pizza. I hope that's the way tomorrow goes, but nobody has promised tomorrow. We're only promised right now. And those of you that may have taken time to watch this video somewhere down the line or active and live this morning, thank you for taking time to watch it. We appreciate you watching our videos and supporting the church in that respect. As far as praying for Archdale Baptist Full Gospel Church, we need your prayers. God hasn't sent us a body of believers numbers yet, but we are praying and believing for it. Just too many churches around where we planted a church. Too many just different situations where, it hasn't taken off. And, one day we'll be in the city of Archdale by the grace and mercy of God. But right now, that is an expensive venture to even consider. And obviously, we're in no place to do such a thing. And that's our goal, and it's been our goal long term since we entered this process. May 23rd will be 2 years since we planted it in name and as an entity. May 23rd is the second anniversary. September the 1st will be 2 years active in meetings, and so if you're at 1 3/4 of an age, you're still a toddler, so we still got things to learn, and we got a ways to go, and we're believing God today. All of us are believing God for this, that, or the other, and God has never let us down. I've failed God a lot, but one thing I can say this morning, and tomorrow morning will be lest we live. I could have got up and said yesterday morning, God has never disappointed me or let me down or fell short of my expectations. He goes beyond that. And, it's just incredible, the God that we serve. As we're 68 miles from Myrtle Beach now, just going in and out of these sleepy little communities this morning. Not much happening at 4:48. But, so we've been on the road already this morning for 2 hours and 36 minutes. And by the grace and mercy of God, we'll be rolling into our stop at 7. And I pray that I'm back home by 2:30 today. That would be the optimal goal for this day, and it's a lofty goal, believe me. But God can do that. Pray for our ministry partners with us, Evangelist Kenny and Deborah Greenway, LA, Payhay, Georgia this morning. Pray for us this morning, Pastor Bruce and Miss Debbie Wood, Gospel Tabernacle in Thomasville. They're doing a great work right there, 20 minutes from Archdale Baptist. And pray for Pastor Jimmy and Geraldine Mercado, Cornerstone Baptist Church in the Philippines. Oh Lord, forgive me this morning. It's early. Philippines this morning. They're doing a great and a mighty work in the Lord over there. How God is using them. It's incredible. If you could just see what God is doing there, it is incredible the body that God has built there. And faithful followers of Christ there, leaders. God is doing something great in the Philippines this morning. Pray for those people there. And they don't have the freedoms to enjoy like we do here in this country. And pray this morning for our fourth ministry partner, Pastor Jimmy and Pastor Jimmy and Latta Granger, Orchard Church in Thomasville. This is our first year partner with them. It'll actually be in the fourth quarter this year, at the end of the year. So we'll be supporting them for the first time. And our first quarter ministry partner, Pastor Bruce and Miss Debbie Wood, Gospel Tabernacle. It's looking good. The support that has come in for them, and those numbers are looking good for the first quarter. We're starting off the year strong as far as the ministry partner support. And next year, the goal going into this church plant was 7 ministry partners, and by the grace and mercy of God, if He lets us live, and to see January the 1st of 2027, we will begin the year that fulfills the 7 ministry partners. At the end of this year, by the grace of God, we'll be increasing our support from 25 to 35%. Most of you that were with us in the beginning, we started out at 50% for the first 6 months. 50% of everything that came in went back out the door to our ministry partners. We had to make some adjustments on that about a year ago. And so we made those adjustments down to 25. So we're at a 75 for the general treasury of the church. 75 for that, 25 for our ministry partners. It's been that way for a year now. About the 13th month actually, and then we'll be going back to 35% at the end of this year by the grace and mercy of the Lord, and we will be supporting all 7 ministry partners next year by the grace of God. Coming into Oak Grove. The way that'll work is each ministry partner, the 6 ministry partners, will be given an offering every other month. So there'll be 6 ministry partners for the year, those 12 months. And then the 10% that we are adding at the end of this year for 2027. Throughout the year, we will keep up with that, and one offering will go to our 7th ministry partner at the end of 2027, and that will be the International Fellowship of Christian and Jews. If God doesn't do something different, as we stand today, that is who our 7th ministry partner will be. We're encountering some of that ground fog again. Coming to the Pilot truck stop here, Interstate 95, and you get off here and go to the south. You will go to Florence, where they had a tornado warning yesterday during that weather that moved through. If you get off and go to the north, you will get the south of the border, and you'll eventually get to Lumberton, Fayetteville, and all points north of that. Keep traveling to the north, you'll get to New York City and Boston and Bangor, Maine. And if you go south, you'll find Miami down there somewhere. We're at 345 for gas here at the Flying J Pilot on the east side of I-95 here in Latta, South Carolina. And we'll be stopping this video in just a moment here. I guess at this stoplight is what is going to do it for us this morning. Thank you for riding with us on Trucking with the Pastor this morning.